Hi, welcome back to my channel. In this video, you are going to learn how to factor polynomials by using the greatest common factor or the GCF. Okay, first let us have the idea on GCF. So what is GCF? It's the largest number that divides evenly into two or more numbers without leaving a remainder. So what I mean about that, example, find the GCF of 10 and 12. Okay, first let's look at 10. What are the numbers that if you're going to multiply, you would have 10? That would be 1 and 10. We also have 5 and 2, right? 2 and 5. How about 12? What are numbers that if you're going to multiply, you'll have 12? That would be 1 and 12 itself. We also have 2 and 6. We could have 3 and 4. Now, the GCF of 10 and 12 is the largest common number of 10 and 12, and that would be 2. Therefore, their GCF is 2. One more example, let's say the GCF of 5 and 15. Now we are going to take a look at each number individually. We have 5 factors of 5, that would be 1 and 5 only, and factors of 15, we have 1 times 15. We also have 3 and 5, that would be the factors of 15. Now, the GCF of 5 and 15 is the largest common factor between the two. So that would be 5, right? Therefore, the GCF of 5 and 15, that would be 5. Okay? Now, let's apply this one into polynomials. Example, find the factors of 2x squared plus 6x. Okay, so we are going to look at each term. We have 2x squared. What are the factors of 2? We have 1 and 2. And then factors of x squared, that would be x times x. Now we're going to take a look at the second term, which is 6x. What are the factors of 6? You would have 1 times 6, 2 times 3, right? And then the factors of x is just x. Now, here, again, the GCD is the largest common number between the two terms. So first, that would be 2. And then, we have x. Therefore, the GCF of 2x squared plus 6x, that would be 2x. How about this one? Factor out 3a squared times b minus 9ab squared. So first, what are the factors of the first term? That would be 1 times 3. And then the factors of a squared, that would be a times a, and then just bring down b. The factors of 9 are 1 times 9, 3 times 3. The factor of a is just a, and then the factor of b squared, that would be b times b. Now, again, so we are going to look at the biggest number common between the two. That would be 3. Okay, we bring down 3. And then the common variables, that would be A and B. Therefore, our final answer would be 3 times A times B. How about this example? 4A cubed times B minus 6A squared B. Now we are going to look at each term. Let's have first the first term, factors of 4 multiplied by A cubed multiplied by B. That would result to 2 times 2, and then A times A times A times B. And then factors of the second term, that would be 2 times 3 and A times A and B. What is the largest common number between the two? That would be 2. So we bring down 2. And the variables common between the two, that would be A, A. So you have repeated A 2 times. Therefore, A times A, you will get A squared. And we have B. I'm hoping that you get the idea on how to factor out polynomials, because we are going to proceed to another examples. Example, what is the GCF of 5A squared minus 20AB? First is you're going to take a look at the first term. We have 5A squared. Factors of 5, we have 1 and 5. And then factors of A squared, that would be A times A. Next step is you're going to take a look at the second term, which is 20AB. And then factors of 20, we have 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5. And factors of our AB is just AB. Now, next step is to look at the largest common factor between the two. That would be 5 and then A. B is not a common factor because we don't have B on our first term. Okay? So, our final answer would be the GCF of 5A squared minus 20AB is just 5A. Okay? Next example, find the GCF, or the greatest common factor, of 8A squared minus 16. Now, in the same process, 8A squared, factors of 8, we have 1 times 8, 2, and 4. And factors of A is just A times A. How about factors of 16? We have 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. The largest common factor between 8A squared and 16 is 8. Therefore, the GCF of that polynomial is 8. Next example, find the GCF of 2x squared minus 4x cubed plus 6x squared. If you're going to take a look each term, their largest common number or factor is just 2. And then observe that each term has a literal coefficient of x. To factor out the literal coefficient for each term, get the lowest possible power for each term. So for our first term, the lowest possible power is just 2. Our second term, has a power of 2, our third term has a power of 2. Therefore, the GCF of 2x squared minus 4x cubed plus 6x to the power of 2 is just 2x to the power of 2. Okay? Next, example. Find the GCF of 16n to the power of 6 plus 12n to the power of 4. Repeating the process. If you don't know in mind the largest common factor between the two numbers, then we're going to do it individually. Okay, 16n to the power of 6. If we're going to factor this out, factors of 16, we have 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. And n was repeated 6 times. For our second term, we have 12n to the power of 4. Factors of 12, we have 1 times 12. Factors of 12, we have 2 times 6 and 3 times 4. Now, n was repeated 4 times. If you're going to take a look at the factors, their largest common factor would be 4. Okay? Therefore, we have here a numerical coefficient of 4, and then factor out the literal coefficient. How? Just by simply rewriting the variable n and then find the lowest possible power for each term. Lowest possible power that is common for each term. For our final answer is 4n to the power of 4. Okay? Next example. Find the GCF. GCF of 30xy minus 20x to the power of 3 plus 40y squared. Now, you will notice that for each numerical coefficient, their largest common number is 10. So we have to write down 10 here. Next step, was x present for each term? No. Was y present for each term? No. Therefore, GCD of this polynomial is just 10. That would be the end of my presentation, and I'm hoping that you were able to understand the idea on how to factor out the polynomial using the greatest common factor. And thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.